All right, let's really dive into this. Today, we're taking a deep look at a fascinating collection of recent sources. Essentially, it's a curated snapshot of some of the most pressing and, well, frankly, some peculiar news items from a recent CNN front page. Our goal, basically, to cut through the sheer volume of information out there, extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, and hopefully leave you with that satisfying aha moment, feeling truly well-informed without getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, and what's particularly compelling about looking at the news this way, well, it's seeing how a single daily news feed can reflect such a vast, intricate tapestry. We're talking human ambition, conflict, innovation, discovery. It's all there. It really highlights the importance of not just, consuming headlines, but understanding what the underlying currents truly mean and how seemingly disparate events actually connect across different domains.
Exactly. For many of us, the news can often feel like just a deluge of disconnected events, right? Makes it hard to see the bigger picture. So we're going to guide you through some major global power shifts, then some puzzling historical finds that might just redefine our past. Surprising health insights, too, things that challenge long-held beliefs, and even some unexpected environmental solutions. You'll walk away with a richer understanding of what's happening and why it matters, all in a fraction of the time it would take to sift through it all yourself. Let's get started. Okay, let's begin with the big geopolitical currents. Our sources show a very clear and, well, undeniable theme right now. China actively touting a nascent power bloc designed to rival the U.S. We're talking about a significant China-led summit. It brought together heavyweight leaders like Russia's Vladimir Putin and India's Narendra Modi. Now, what makes this gathering so much more than just a photo opportunity?
That's a crucial question. Because beyond the handshake photos, the real insight here is that this isn't merely about challenging U.S. hegemony in like a rhetorical sense. It's about actively constructing parallel global institutions and economic structures. These gatherings are platforms where alternative economic corridors are being concretely planned. Think about the expansion of the BRICS Bank, for instance, or coordinated resource extraction initiatives in Africa and Latin America. These aren't abstract discussions. They signal a multipolar world actively taking shape, rather than just being a theoretical concept. So when we talk about a power bloc, we're really talking about a consolidated group of states. They're actively coordinating their foreign policy, their economic strategies, sometimes even military actions, all to exert significant influence on the global stage, often as a counterweight to existing dominant powers. It's more than just an alliance, it's a strategic realignment of global influence.
Okay, so if this is truly about reshaping the world order, what are the specific catalysts pushing nations like India? I mean, they traditionally have complex relationships with both the U.S. and China. What pushes them towards such a move? Our sources point to a long shadow cast by Donald Trump's America First vision.
Precisely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Russia and China are indeed redoubling their efforts. And Trump's America First policies definitely provided a significant impetus for countries to reevaluate their reliance on traditional alliances. For India specifically, this manifested as a tariff sting.
Tariff sting.
Yeah, we're talking about the Section 232 tariffs on steel and aluminum and the Section 301 tariffs targeting various Chinese goods. These created a really complex and often disruptive trade environment. For India, with its ambitious Make in India initiative trying to boost domestic manufacturing, well, these tariffs meant navigating disrupted supply chains and increased costs. So this pragmatic necessity to diversify their economic partnerships, even with nations they've had historical border disputes with, like China. It made Modi's rare trip to China a very calculated strategic move. It just illustrates how U.S. domestic policy can, perhaps inadvertently, push allies closer to rivals.
And speaking of a lasting impact of Trump-era policies, our sources also mention an appeals court striking down many of those Trump tariffs, saying he overstepped his authority. That highlights a fascinating tension, doesn't it? You've got the domestic legal system challenging the executive's power, which then ripples right into global trade policy.
Absolutely. And this raises an important question about the limits of presidential power and its global economic implications. When an appeals court rules that a president exceeded their authority in implementing significant trade measures like that, well, it creates a layer of uncertainty for international partners. It can potentially weaken the U.S.'s negotiating position in future trade talks. And it might signal instability in policy, making other nations maybe more hesitant to commit to long-term agreements. It's a powerful reminder that domestic legal challenges can indeed shape the global economic landscape, affecting everything from supply chains to strategic alliances.
So these domestic legal battles over trade can truly send ripples across the globe, impacting economic strategies, national alliances, and is often in this kind of environment, shifting alliances, perceived vulnerabilities, that we see heightened tensions maybe erupt into direct conflict in other regions. Our sources paint a pretty stark picture of several global hotspots right now.
Indeed. These diplomatic shifts don't happen in a vacuum. We see immediate, often violent reverberations in global hotspots. The intense situation in Gaza City, for instance, you have Israel halting airdrops ahead of an offensive, the Red Cross declaring mass evacuation impossible. This isn't just a local conflict, it's deeply intertwined with the global narrative of power, humanitarian responsibility, and frankly, the perceived effectiveness of international bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And the recovery of a hostage's body remains of another, alongside Israel declaring Gaza City a dangerous combat zone. It just underscores the immense human cost. This also plays into how nations like Russia or China might frame global interventions or human rights issues, often using these crises to critique Western foreign policy. And we can't ignore the assassination of a Ukrainian lawmaker in Lviv, a stark reminder of the ongoing conflict there. Or North Korea's Kim Jong-un promising beautiful lives for families of martyrs killed fighting in Russia. These are all grim reflections of a more volatile, fragmented world order where lines are being redrawn. And local conflicts are increasingly taking on geopolitical significance.
And what about the broader ripple effects, particularly in regions that are already sites of long-standing disputes? Our sources highlight Vietnam taking a leaf out of China's playbook to build fortified islands in the disputed South China Sea. What does that tell us about regional power dynamics?
What's fascinating here is how regional actors are adapting to this new global dynamic, often by mirroring the tactics of larger powers. Vietnam's construction of fortified islands, this involves dredging, creating artificial land masses, installing military infrastructure. It's a direct response to China's own assertive actions in the South China Sea.
Right, tit for tat almost.
Exactly. It's an assertion of sovereignty in a strategically vital and resource-rich waterway. And it reflects a growing might makes right sentiment in the region, perhaps. It essentially signals a hardening of positions, a reluctance to back down, highlighting that the scramble for influence isn't just happening at the superpower level, it's reverberating down to regional disputes, with nations increasingly relying on their own capabilities to protect what they perceive as their interests.
It's clear that these seemingly disparate events, from summits in China to legal rulings in the U.S., conflicts in the Middle East or Eastern Europe, to territorial assertions in Southeast Asia, they're all interconnected, reflecting a dynamic and, let's face it, often uncertain global landscape that directly impacts trade, alliances, and stability for everyone, including you listening right now. Okay, it's clear the forces shaping our present are incredibly dynamic, complex. But sometimes to truly grasp where we're headed, we also need to understand where we've been, or maybe even challenge what we thought we knew about ourselves. Our next set of insights takes us from that vast geopolitical stage to the intricate, sometimes baffling, puzzles of ancient history and the very latest in health science. So our sources reveal that an unusual tool killed a man 12,000 years ago, and scientists are still puzzling over who wielded it.
Yeah, a compelling aspect of this discovery is just how fragments of the distant past can pose such enduring questions. They challenge our assumptions about prehistoric life. This wasn't just any tool. Sources suggest it might have been a finely crafted projectile point, maybe made of obsidian or chert, which signifies a level of sophistication in hunting or perhaps warfare that we're still trying to fully grasp from that early hunter-gatherer era. The fact that the victim died by it, but the wielder remains unknown, well, it opens up so many questions about ancient societies. Was it intertribal conflict, a rogue act, an accidental death? It provides a rare glimpse into the violence and realities of ancient existence, much like the Ice Age skeleton with a broken neck bone also mentioned in our sources.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Right. That particular skeleton, often known as the Shanidar III Neanderthal, it showed evidence of a healed stab wound from a projectile, which indicates survival from a previous attack, but also a fatal blow to the neck eventually. These findings aren't just about bones or tools, they're about reconstructing entire worlds. Understanding social structures, resource competition, the constant challenges early humans faced.
It truly shows how much we're still learning about human history. We might think we have a firm grasp on the past, but new discoveries constantly challenge and expand our narratives, pushing back dates, revealing unexpected complexities. And on the flip side, we're also continually updating our knowledge about something as fundamental as our own bodies and health. Our sources highlight new studies suggesting a common heart attack drug doesn't work, and may even raise the risk of death for some women. This isn't a small revelation. It could change medical practice for millions.
It really raises an important question about the constant evolution of scientific understanding, even in areas we thought were kind of settled. Specifically, these studies are re-examining low-dose aspirin for primary prevention of heart attacks in women. For decades, it was widely recommended, right?
Right, almost automatic.
Exactly. But newer research suggests that for women without a prior history of cardiovascular disease, the benefits might not outweigh the risks. And those risks include increased risk of major bleeding. Some studies even indicate a slight increase in mortality for certain female demographics, likely due to different biological responses or underlying risk factors that maybe haven't been fully accounted for in previous, often male-centric trials. So it encourages critical thinking about what we know to be true, whether it's about ancient tools or modern medicine. It also reminds us that research isn't static, it's always advancing, sometimes challenging long-held beliefs and guiding us on things like when we might be eligible for an updated COVID-19 vaccine, which was also mentioned. The need for updated vaccines isn't just about new variants, it's about our understanding of immune responses and population-level protection constantly evolving.
It's incredible to think that we're simultaneously uncovering secrets from millennia ago and challenging medical advice that, many of us have grown up with. It's really a testament to the ongoing pursuit of knowledge, a journey that spans from archaeological digs to cutting-edge medical labs, always pushing the boundaries of what we understand about ourselves and our world. Okay, let's pivot now. From deep history and personal health to some truly innovative and, well, even counterintuitive ideas from around the globe. Ideas that touch on sustainability and how we interact with our environment. Our sources share a fascinating story. Dutch architects are converting hard-to-recycle wind turbines into tiny houses. I have to admit, my mind immediately pictured these enormous, sleek blades somehow becoming cozy homes. What makes them hard to recycle in the first place?
That's a great question, because the difficulty is really key to appreciating this innovation. Wind turbine blades are typically made of fiberglass, epoxy resin composites, sometimes carbon fiber. These materials are incredibly durable and lightweight, which is great for energy generation, but notoriously difficult and expensive to break down and separate at the end of a turbine's, say, 20-25-year lifespan. Traditional recycling methods often just don't work efficiently, leading to blades piling up in landfills. So what's truly brilliant here is how this project showcases a genuine circular economy model, not just recycling, but truly upcycling a complex waste stream into a new, high-value product. They're essentially cutting sections of the blades and configuring them into structurally sound, often energy-efficient, tiny homes. It's an inspiring glimpse into practical, large-scale solutions for sustainability, which is increasingly vital.
That's incredible, turning a massive waste problem into housing. But not all environmental stories are about grand architecture and industrial solutions, are they? Sometimes it's about shifting our perception of the natural world in surprising ways. And here's where it truly gets interesting for me. We learn that everyone hates wasps, but one scientist wants us to love them. I have to admit, my gut reaction to a wasp is usually immediate avoidance, if not a dash for the bug spray. So this idea of loving them, it truly challenges an ingrained perception, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And what's fascinating here is how often we dismiss species we find annoying, right? Without understanding their critical ecological roles. The scientist's argument is that wasps are not just picnic spoilers, they are incredibly important predators. They control populations of agricultural pests like aphids and caterpillars, which actually reduces the need for chemical pesticides. They're also underappreciated pollinators, playing a role in the reproduction of many plants, much like bees do. So this raises an important question about the unseen benefits within our ecosystems, even from creatures we instinctively dislike. It's really a call to look beyond our immediate, often fear-driven reactions and understand the complex interconnectedness of nature.
And speaking of counterintuitive ecological solutions, our sources also talk about dropping thousands of mosquitoes by drone over islands in Hawaii. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, or maybe a prank. What could possibly be the ecological reason for more mosquitoes?
Well, the counterintuitive part vanishes once you understand the science behind it, and it's a prime example of targeted biological control. The mosquitoes being dropped are specifically male mosquitoes that have been bred to carry the Wolbachia bacteria.
Okay.
So when these lab-bred males mate with wild female mosquitoes, particularly invasive species like Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus, which transmit diseases like dengue and Zika, The eggs simply don't hatch.
Ah,
It's a targeted method to crash invasive mosquito populations without using broad-spectrum pesticides, which can harm native Hawaiian species. The long-term goal is to protect not just human health, but also Hawaii's endangered native bird populations. They're highly susceptible to avian malaria carried by these same invasive mosquitoes. It's a sophisticated, ecologically mindful approach to pest management.
wow. From repurposing massive wind turbines into homes, to re-evaluating our feelings about a tiny buzzing insect, and then strategically deploying mosquitoes to save birds. These stories really challenge us to look at our world and its challenges with fresh eyes, and a willingness to understand deeper connections and innovative solutions. It's about seeing value and purpose where we might not have expected it, and truly appreciating the ingenuity that drives both nature and human innovation. And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. We've journeyed from the intricate dance of global powers and the long shadow of U.S. politics to the mysterious origins of ancient humans, and then right into modern medicine and some surprising environmental solutions. What an incredible range of insights from just one set of sources.
Indeed. It really highlights just how profoundly connected our world truly is, and how knowledge is most valuable when understood in its proper context. Whether it's the latest developments in geopolitics, a scientific discovery, or a shift in our understanding of nature. Critical thinking helps us make sense of it all and appreciate the nuances that often lie beneath the surface, offering those genuine aha moments.
So as you go about your day, perhaps consider this provocative thought. In a world constantly churning out new information, how often do we truly pause to understand the implications of what we read, beyond just the headline? What else might be hidden in plain sight, just waiting for a deeper dive? What connections are we missing right now just because we haven't looked closely enough?
Exactly. Keep questioning, keep connecting the dots, and keep seeking that deeper understanding. That's where the real insights lie.
Until next time, stay curious.